On this episode of Bite Sized, we are watching and discussing episode 40 of the movie Twilight. For those of you watching along at home, that's from 5805 to 5851. And now, on to the episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bite Size. For those of you joining for the first time, here's what's going on. My name is Ben. I am your host. I am watching the movie Twilight one scene at a time with a different guest every week. I take someone I know or has come well recommended to me and send them anywhere from about 30 seconds to 3 minutes of the movie Twilight, and then we talk about it with very little context outside of that. Speaking of guests, joining me this week is a performer and writer currently in New York City, Holly Souchack. Welcome to Bite Size.
Hi, Ben. Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited, as you well know.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course. It's an honor.
I can't believe I didn't ask you to be on sooner.
It's okay.
I think it's just the fact that I don't see you in person anymore regularly, but you just can't. For the listener, we used to live in the same city, and then 4 years ago, Holly moved like a jerk. But yeah, I saw you on social media one day. I was like, oh, of course, Holly, perfect fit.
Yeah, and there's no way you would have known this, but I was and still am such a fan of this book series and this movie series. Oh my God.
I told you this before we started recording, but I did kind of profile you a little bit and think, I bet Holly was a Twilight fan. But let's get into that now. Holly Souchack, I'm going to start this interview the way I start every interview on the show. That's by asking you, what is your history with the Twilight franchise?
I was obsessed with the book series. I remember being in 8th grade. I hope I'm remembering this right, but being in the summer of 8th grade, or maybe 7th and 8th grade.
What year was this?
2007, 2008, when Breaking Dawn, not in the beginning, but when Breaking Dawn came out. I was a little late, so I read Twilight late, and then New Moon, and then Eclipse, and then I was there for Breaking Dawn. I went to Barnes & Noble with my mom and got the book. Loved it. I was so happy they had sex. I was so into it. I was waiting for it. I was oh yes.
Really?
And I was yeah, oh my God, I love. And then I was Team Jacob.
Okay.
Very vocally, very into it. I have not reread the books, but I don't remember, because obviously we're not Team Jacob, because he full on assaults her.
It's weird.
In Breaking Dawn.
There's a lot of reasons to not be Team Jacob.
I don't remember that scene at all, or possibly read it with a very youthful mind and was he just grabbed her and kissed her, and he didn't even ask if he wanted it. But I was Team Jacob because Edward left, and I was really upset that Edward left Bella. And when Edward left Bella, Jacob was there.
Would you say that you're Team Edward now, or
no? I got my fiance to rewatch them or to watch them in full.
Yeah.
And I remember that scene happened. He was like, "That's your boy?" I was like, "No, I'm so sorry." I would argue with people at parties. I was like, "No, Edward left and Jacob was there for her."
If you're not Team Edward or Team Jacob, then what are you now?
Team Edward.
Oh, Team Edward. Okay.
Yeah. Team Edward.
For the record, I'm Team go to college, but keep going.
I guess I don't really have a ton of opinions about this, but if you have other guests that were Team a different one, if they were doing fan fiction, I think I haven't really gone down that rabbit hole.
It seems like Team Jacob has been the most popular choice of my guests so far. A lot of people had the same experience that you did. They were Team Jacob early on, and now as an adult, they're I can't endorse that.
There must have been some part of a young, underdeveloped, not to gender this, but a young, underdeveloped female brain that was he knew what she wanted before she did. There was just something about, and Taylor Lautner, oh my God, he was so delicious. Which brings you back to the movies.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw New Moon, midnight showing, and then Breaking Dawn. Yeah, I love the movies. I love the books. And I think that they don't age as poorly as things do as a kid. A lot of other things you watch as kids, I'm sure, age so much more poorly.
Did you carry the fandom into adulthood with you, or did it go away for a little bit? Because obviously you've made your fiance watch the movie, so there's something still there.
I think that I carried the fandom in terms of like loving something so much, like loving the books. I wanted to tell you about this. I was really into the cast list when like the movies were coming out. Like I remember being on Tumblr and like the rumors coming out that there's a movie, and then they would drop like who they think the actors are going to be, and I was so into that. And I still stand by this. This is my first thought as a youth, and I still stand by this. Everyone is perfectly casted in that film.
Yeah.
Except for Edward and Bella. And that's why the film seems so weird, because everyone is perfect. Charlie is perfect. The Cullens are perfect. Jacob and all of his wolf pack is perfect. But the main two people, that's like 80% of the movie.
I can see an argument for Robert Pattinson not being the right casting for Edward, because after a certain point, he's just so clearly not interested in being in that movie anymore.
That was also a thing too, right? As you watch him now, you're like, oh no, he doesn't want to do this.
And especially as you like see and read interviews with him talking about Twilight, it is very clear he did not care. He did not want to be there.
That,
Kristen Stewart's perfect though, I think.
They had other.
Give me your hot take.
This was all like Bella is awkward and weird, but awkward and weird in like a teenage girl way. Yeah. I think Kristen Stewart is awkward and weird because like that's the character she plays so well. I mean, used to. Now she's playing really badass characters, but I haven't thought about it with that lens. I haven't thought about Edward being wrong, but everyone else being perfect.
Were there other names for like other actors for Edward and Bella that you saw that would have been better? Or
I meant to look them up earlier. I don't remember them at all, and they also could have been like the Tumblr equivalent of an influencer. Like it could have just been someone with a lot of views that were like, I'm rumored to be casted, but they were just lying.
That's possible.
Could have been that. I don't remember any of the actresses. I just remember, and this must have been after Harry Potter, right? Because Robert Pattinson was in Harry
he'd
Potter
already
too.
done his one Harry Potter movie. Yeah.
That is also a big thing. Is I wasn't a Harry Potter kid growing up.
Yeah, me neither
at all. Oh well, I'm reading those books now and like reading the books and watching. I mean, that's very different because those movies are perfect compared to the books. But
did you like stop watching the movies for a while and then come back to it eventually? Or have you just been consistently watching them for the last 15 years?
Yeah, no, like they stopped, I stopped. And I will say that like this was the first the first fandom I was a part of, and I really carried that into other things I do. So like I'm sure if you guys haven't talked about it by now, like the pipeline from Twilight series to like A Court of Thorns and Roses series, like it is a straight. So now like I like fantasy now, love reading books, but yeah, no, I definitely didn't continue to watch them over and over again.
Well, until apparently you forced your fiance to.
Well, the pandemic happened, and I was like, I think the meme of the baby came up, and he was like, "What is this?" And I was like, I can't even I can't tell you. You have to just watch the movies, and then we'll.
That's been a recurring theme, though, is people who were big Twilight fans, and then it sort of went away for a while, and then quarantine came around, and they were like, "Well, I guess I'll watch Twilight for the first time in 10 years."
Right? Like maybe it's that like comforting. Like rewatching things that you loved as a kid.
Right, combined with having literally nothing else to do.
I think it was really exciting to see Kristen Stewart come out of the closet. Like that was really exciting to follow as a kid, especially like being bi, like as a kid or like as a middle schooler and being like, damn, that woman is hot. And then being like, okay, cool. Like that was fun to watch. But other than that, I definitely didn't keep in. Oh my God, Stephanie Meyer came out with a new book.
Yeah, she's written like 2 or 3 books in the last few years. It's basically just slightly different versions of Twilight.
The one that I'm thinking of is the one that she wrote like a complete version of Twilight, but all through Edward's perspective.
Yeah. I think that was Midnight Sun.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. She also wrote Life and Death, which is the Twilight, the first Twilight book, but all the genders are swapped. So Bella is a young man. Bella is a young man named Beaufort who meets a charming vampire lady named Edith Cullen. It's crazy. No, seriously, if you have, this is all real and all written by Stephanie Meyer. When we're done recording, you gotta look up Life and Death just to see the names she chose. Because it's all It all starts with the same first letter. So, like, Bella becomes Beaufort.
She's famously Mormon, and I feel like if she put out a book with someone named Beaufort in it, then we would have picked that up sooner.
These are all names that, like, no one, like, the names in the first version are all fairly normal.
Yeah,
but then Alice Cullen becomes Archie Cullen, and I don't I just do not buy that. Archie.
Wow.
Yeah. It's weird.
That's fascinating.
Anyway, I could talk for a very long time about the weird name changes.
I did not know. I knew about Midnight Sun. I said, wow, I can't wait. Because someone sent me over a PDF version of Midnight Sun because, like, you know, I want to support other artists, but I didn't want to buy that book. And
she's got enough money. She's doing fine.
Yeah, I remember I opened the PDF and I was like, I don't have time for this right now. I can't dive back into this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved Twilight growing up. I love those books. Love the movie. I mean, love the movies in the sense that, like, I was kind of a purist and I was like, nothing was better than the books. But I also had this phase that I have to fight as an adult. But, like, I had this phase as a kid where I would skip. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud.
I can't wait to see where this winds up.
I would skip over everything that wasn't dialogue. And I distinctly remember reading that or doing this with Twilight because I skipped over everything about Jacob's past. So when the movie came out, I was like, what is happening with all these wolves? What's all this, like, weird native culture stuff? I don't remember any of this in the books. And then I was like, oh, right, because I skipped over everything that wasn't dialogue. I don't know why.
It sounds like you missed out on a lot. You should go back and maybe read it again.
I think it was just undiagnosed ADHD.
Yeah, I think that's entirely possible. All right, let's finally get into the scene we're talking about today. I'm so glad. I'm frankly very glad we had a lot to talk about that's not the scene, because the scene we have today is a relatively short one. It's a little over 45 seconds. Bella and Edward walk into school. They're in the parking lot.
Yeah, but that's so important.
Oh, it is. That's a brief overview of the scene, but now let's get in to the actual meat of the matter. It starts with Eric standing in a circle of people handing out flyers for prom.
Monte Carlo? That's our prom theme?
Gambling, tuxedos, and Bond. James Bond.
And then Angela is just taking pictures like she does all the time.
Oh my God.
She sees Edward's car pull up. He looks so smug. He has the smuggest look on his face when he's opening the door, too. This may be, I think, the first time in the movie that we see Edward, like, genuinely smile.
You know, everybody's staring.
Not that guy. No, he just looked. I'm breaking all the rules now anyway. Since I'm going to hell.
They walk out towards the car and everyone stares at him. And that's when this scene turns into one of my favorite things. It turns into a great scene for watching background actors.
Ooh.
Because there are so many people. Like, you've got your few main characters. You've got your Bella and Edward and, like, Anna Kendrick and some of the friends with lines. But then there's just, like, I don't know, maybe 24 random high schoolers who got to be in the movie who are just sort of walking around doing their own things, which leads us into a recurring segment I don't get into very often called Extra Extra. Editor Ben, please drop that theme song in here. Extra Extra. Thank you. Extra Extra is devoted to finding my favorite actors in the background who are just sort of doing their own thing, the most extra, if you will. And there's a couple in this scene that I definitely want to talk about. I think my first favorite is Red Sweater Girl.
I'm so bummed I didn't pick up on this when I watched it.
Oh, man.
Is this before or after he opens the car door? After.
This is after she watches the car door. See, after he opens the car door and they're walking up. Here, I'm going to share my screen with you so you know what I'm talking about.
I got. Yeah.
This girl right here on the far right, she has her arms crossed and she gives Bella and Edward this, like, once over up and down look and just has the most disapproving look on her face. What is going on? What is going through her mind?
And something that I was excited to talk about that we can't talk about is, like,
oh, absolutely we can.
That Grease effect of, like, okay, they hired like 30 and 40-year-old actors to play these high schoolers,
Yeah.
but none of them look that old. They all look like they'd be in high school.
Right.
That's crazy.
Except for like, yeah, but like, and sometimes there is like an actual kid, like an actual 17-year-old there who makes all of the adults look even older. Like when you see Robert Pattinson standing next to an actual teenager, you're like, okay, that's a grown man.
That's a man.
Yeah. You've also got, there's one extra who is playing her own little game of Where's Waldo. She's wearing a hat and a scarf. And if you watch this scene, she's in the background of like 3 or 4 different angles in a way that like if this was an actual, if they actually were walking into a high school, she would have to be like basically running all over the place. Because at one point she walks across in front of some stairs, and in the next shot she's coming down those stairs. It's truly, it's great. You got to keep an eye on her the next time you do this.
And you didn't edit this, right? Like it was really this blue?
Hold on. Oh shit, where'd it go? Emergency. Wait. Where's my bell? Damn it, Holly, I lost my...
I'm so sorry.
No, it was in front of me the whole time. It's okay. Yes, that is right. Holly Souchack, I did not edit this. The Twilight movie is just that blue, and guests have a tendency to bring that up so much that I have an entire bell about it. That is the blue bell.
I don't remember it being this blue at all.
Oh, it's for sure has been this blue the entire time. And like the future movies are not as blue, and that makes me sad.
I know it's Forks, Washington, but jeez Louise.
It's the cloudiest place in the continental U.S.
Also, speaking of extras, like some of them are in full-on coats. Some of them are in long sleeves. Some of them have a hat and a scarf. Some of them have...
It's really inconsistent. There is one guy in just like shorts and a t-shirt.
But that's that guy. We all know that. That's actually
Holly, I'm going to be honest.
accurate.
I was that guy when I was high school age. Well, okay. In my defense, I grew up in Houston, Texas. And so our winters we're talking like maybe 50 degrees. But I was absolutely the kid that would be like, yeah, I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt in winter. I don't care. I'm not cold.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah, I was that. No, it's fine. And now I live in Chicago that has actual winters, and I hate it, and I can't stand it, and it feels like some kind of punishment.
This is funny. I've never looked at the extras.
It's my favorite thing to do in any movie and TV show that I watch, but especially in Twilight. Like in the first half of Twilight when they're doing stuff at school, because there will be just like 20, 30 high schoolers who were just told, all right, be normal high schoolers, and they be normal high schoolers, but don't don't move in a way that's more interesting than Bella and Edward, and don't make any noise at all. So anytime they're in like the lunchroom or something like that, there are kids in the background doing just the weirdest stuff. It's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Or like fake eating. I love catching people fake eating on TV.
And
it's
like,
so fun.
Like fake conversations where no one's mouth is moving, but sometimes they'll just sort of pretend to laugh. It's crazy. I love it. Bella and Edward walk towards they're walking in towards the school door, and they have a little conversation, and Edward says he's breaking all the rules anyway since he's going to hell.
Oh.
Yeah, good line. You like that one?
An iconic line. Yeah, I see homeboy behind Edward and Bella in a t-shirt, just a t-shirt and a hat. Edward's wearing sunglasses because he's technically dead, but why is this guy wearing a hat?
I don't know.
Not sunny at all.
And why is he, I guess just to look cool, but why is he wearing sunglasses if it's cloudy enough that he can be outside and there's no sun? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know, because then you see all the Cullens and they're not wearing sunglasses. I thought at first it was because he's like that sensitive.
I think he's doing it just to look cool.
He's
probably. Edward, if there's one thing I've learned in watching this movie very slowly over the course of over a year now, Edward Cullen is a little bit of a drama queen and will sometimes do things just for the style points.
You know, that line is so iconic because there's not a lot of, I don't even want to call it a curse word because it's not a curse word, but there's not a lot of like things said that are like naughty or quote bad. Like this is the first, I feel like, when you read or watched this is the first line that was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it is. Now that I think about it,
He said it.
It's pretty family friendly in terms of language. I got to say though, I was thinking about that line, and I feel like if I was just starting to date someone and we were seen in for the public for the first time and he described it as going to hell, I would be a little offended.
Well, yes, but I'm a little worried that I don't remember much of what's happened before this. Like
right before this, they had the big famous scene in the forest where she confronts him about being a vampire.
but she doesn't know the like full extent of how much trouble he can get into, and like
Probably not, yeah.
and like how reserved the Cullens are, and how like they never stand out, and that's why the oh my god delivery is perfect, because she's a high schooler, so she's dramatic, but also they don't talk to anyone. They don't show any interest in anyone. Bella's the first girl that gets to be on Edward's shoulder.
It would feel a little weird, but I guess like Bella is a girl who's never, I don't get her as the kind of girl who breaks rules very often. And so the idea that she gets to do something that they're not supposed to be doing is probably pretty fun for her, and I think she would take that as a compliment.
The only context she has right now is just that, his putting his arm around her shoulder means he's going to hell. Right.
He's basically walking, like being seen in public with her, and he's like basically saying, we should not do this. No one's happy that I'm doing this with you. That's a little bit of a red flag, I think.
Oh, well, I mean, if we're trying to like rationalize this as like a normal person, it's insane. Yeah, of course, everything about Edward's a red flag, but I mean, he literally wants to kill her.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it so romantic.
Okay.
But he does it.
Okay. The scene wraps up with my favorite shot of this, like 47 seconds. It's just the other 4 Cullen siblings sitting in their car, just sort of all pouting a little bit. And it's funny the way they're all bunched into this little car, just sitting there looking kind of sad and angry.
Yes, but like this is what I'm talking about. Like when you read those books, this is what they looked like. Like this is what the Cullens, Emmett and Jasper and Rosalie and Alice, that's what they looked like. They casted them perfectly.
And like the blue part of that doesn't help either, but they just look, I guess they're supposed to look like dead bodies, so it works, but it works.
That's what I'm saying, is like they look dead. Like no, not a single parent at that school was like, or as not a single teacher was like, are you guys malnourished?
Yeah, are you getting enough food at home? Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. It occurred to me watching, we've seen this car, I think we've seen Alice or Rosalie drive this car a couple times now. They're in a convertible with the top down. And for vampires who have to stay out of the sunlight, a convertible's also kind of a terrible choice.
The math isn't mathing.
It doesn't make sense to buy a car that lets in as much sunlight as possible if your whole point is to avoid sunlight, especially if you live in Forks, Washington, because it's so rainy all the time. You're basically never going to get to have the top down because it's either too sunny and you can't be seen in sunlight, or it's too rainy and you're going to get wet.
You're right. And that is the only flaw with this entire film.
That's it. That's
it. The one flaw.
We found Twilight.
That's the only thing that doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up, Stephanie Meyer.
We did it, Holly. We found the one thing wrong with Twilight.
But I forget, like, oh crap. I know the cars are a big thing in the movie because they love going, or in the books, they love going fast. I forget if they had a convertible in the books.
I don't know. Never read the books. Couldn't tell you.
What a weird detail to have if they don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's insane. And that's so weird.
I think, they have a lot of nice, expensive cars to show off that they're a very rich family. And
because they love going fast.
Yeah.
That's a big thing, is like they love moving fast.
But I think because the other main car they have is Emmett's Jeep, and they usually have the top off, which brings in the same sunlight and rain problem. And I really think it's just from a filmmaking standpoint.
Yeah,
we need a way for them to be in a car and us to still see them without like pushed up against the window. And so it just sort of is the most practical choice for the camera, even if it makes absolute zero sense for the characters.
And also, like, I'm looking at this of all 4 of them. Why are Emmett and Jasper so much higher?
Why are they in the back? I don't know.
They're so huge. They look huge.
And also, like, the last scene when we saw them driving to school, Alice and Rosalie were in one car and Emmett and Jasper were in a different car, but now they're all in the same car. So I want to know how they decide how to get to school. The more you think about it, their cars, the less sense it makes.
Oh, they look so pissed.
I love it so much. I love the 4 of them just with their arms crossed and their little frowny faces on, sitting in their dumb little clown car.
Yeah, they are peeved.
Super.
They do not want any attention brought to them. The school doesn't think they're siblings, right?
I think they know that they're all, I think it's known that they are like foster siblings.
Oh, that's
who are
right.
also
all
kind
adopted,
of dating.
Right?
And they know that like there are 2 couples. It's such a weird.
And not a single Not a single teacher was like, what's happening with this?
No one thought to call like CPS or something.
Not a single. Although if they did, Carlisle and Esme would have just talked themselves out of it. They are so smooth.
And they got so much money, they can probably do whatever they want.
Oh, so funny, man. I don't remember. I know I've already brought this up. I don't remember being this blue.
Hold on.
Sorry.
Twice in one episode. Yeah, no, it really super is that blue.
It does make them look more pale, though.
Yeah.
I wonder, that's definitely not why they made it so blue. It's because Forks is sad and depressing, and Edward is the sunshine that brings Bella's life happy, because only a man vampire can make you truly happy in life.
Yeah.
But it also does make them look a lot more pale, but also makes everyone look pale.
It does. It's a weird choice that I kind of like.
We brushed over young Anna Kendrick way too quickly.
Yeah, she is in there, and she is. I've talked about this on the show before, but she doesn't get much to do in this scene. But she is so in a movie full of like mopey, sad characters. She's the only one who gets to be like happy and perky, and it just makes her so delightful to watch.
She is perfect in this.
We love her.
Perfect in this.
Let's start to wrap this up. If you had to give this scene a name, what would it be? And this is going to be the name of the episode, so make it good.
Ooh. My first thought was car.
Yeah.
What are they? They're vampires.
Mm-hmm.
Car vamps?
Car vamps? Is that what we're going with?
Car vamps.
Car vamps. Car vamps it is. Cool. I love it. It's short, sweet, and to the point. It is a lot easier to type than most of my previous episode titles. Thank you for going easy on me.
Yeah.
Holly Souchack, if people like the sound of your voice and the cut of your jib and want to maybe follow you on social media or should see you live somewhere, where can they do those kind of things?
Right now, I mainly post, I'm trying to post a personal essay every month for the year of 2024. And I post them all on my blog, which is on my website, which is just my name, Holly, SOUCHACK.com. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's just Holly, SOUCHACK.
So lucky that you got first name, last name on all those. Good for you. If you want to follow the show on social media, you can follow at bitesizedpod_ on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. I'm posting little clips of the show there. Go ahead, give it a follow, give it a like, whatever. Also, if you enjoyed the show, tell a friend, subscribe, like, all those things that people tell you to do about podcasts and whatnot. Thank you to my editor, Ben Oxher, for putting this show together. Thank you to the band Swimwear Department for letting me use their theme song, Mauled to Death, as our theme here. Thank you to Cullen Lutz, who has not listened to this show yet, but by God, will one day, and send me an email and be on the show. I'm going to make it happen, Holly. I'm going to get Cullen Lutz on this show.
Of all of them? Okay.
I don't know why.
Respect.
I actually do know why. I had a conversation a few episodes ago who talked about, and we somehow got to talking about Cullen Lutz and how he just sort of shows up at Twilight stuff, and he just, of the cast members, he seems to be the most engaged.
Oh, yeah.
And so I bet I could get Cullen Lutz on this show. It's just a question of if I can afford
Cullen,
him.
come on the show.
Holly wants you on the show, Cullen.
What are you doing?
Do you gonna make Holly sad?
What could you possibly... What's so busy? A working actor.
That is it. That is all we have for today's episode of Bite Size. As we always say at the end of every episode...
Bite it.
Bite it. See you next time.
Oh my God.